8:03 left in the game, and Notre Dame 26-0 on top of Boyd Buchanan. Austin Banks with a 45-yard touchdown run to stretch out the Irish lead as they kick off to Boyd Buchanan. And this one is deep and into and out of the back of the end zone. Bring it out to the 20, and we'll see this Boyd Buchanan offense, see if they can get a little momentum going here offensively. Don't forget to stay tuned after the game tonight for Vampire Diaries. That's coming up next. That's a favorite in the McMahon household, I know.
Well, you know, it's a biography of Dave Keelan. It's pretty impressive, and the razor-sharp teeth, really.
Now, is it Vampire Diaries that's about Dave Keelan, or is it the show that comes on after that, Beauty and the Beast?
Ah, that might be more accurate.
But stick around for Vampire Diaries. That's coming up next. 1st and 10 Buccaneers from their own 20-yard line. We've got a penalty flag, and there's offsides against Notre Dame. Grant Reynolds says, thank you very much. We'll take that.
We'll take 5. A lot of penalties on the field tonight, and, you know, this game has been drawn out a little bit, and I think that's probably the case or the reason why it has. A lot of penalty flags. Got to start shoring that up as we get closer and closer to the playoffs. That's on both sides, Boyd and Notre Dame.
1st and 5 now for the Buccaneers. Ball moves up to the 25-yard line. And we see a new quarterback in for Boyd Buchanan. This is Cooper Hodge, and he finds a little room to run as Cooper Hodge out across the 35-yard line, gets to around the 37. Hodge, the sophomore, and the heir apparent to Jim Cardwell. This will be his offense next year. You see the youngster do a pretty good job here.
Looks like Notre Dame has their first-team defense in, though, so they haven't conceded anything. I would look for that to change in the next couple plays, if not the next series, but we'll see.
Hodge, the handoff now. It's E.J. Matthews, and he gets slung down right around the line of scrimmage.
Again, Joe Dossett says, I'm a man, and you're a young man, and I'll slam you down on the turf. He is so strong. What'd you say, 285?
6'3", 285 pounds.
Wow, I think he's got a future on Saturdays. We won't know at what level, but
he's just a junior.
The junior.
I mean, he's still got at least another year of growing left.
Yes, he could be. He is very impressive.
A lot of people feel like he may be the best lineman ever at Notre Dame. There's the freshman Borders on the end-around play, and Notre Dame did a good job of reading that and dropping Jeremy Borders back at around the 34-yard line.
One of the names that will come up in that argument is tight end Sam Eberle from around the 2003-2004 time. Playing professional baseball in the minor leagues this summer, but Eberle really was a great tight end for Notre Dame back in those days when they went deep, had a couple runs deep into the playoffs, the state semifinals, I believe, probably around 05, 04, 05.
Yeah, you know, last year was the first time they had advanced out of the first round of the playoffs since 2005. And you see some good hard running there again from the sophomore in Cooper Hodge. Gets out across the 40 up to about the 41-yard line.
He's thin. He needs to hit the buffet in the weight room a couple times, but I could see a future with Mr. Hodge. He's got some skills. I like the ball fake there. Reads the defense, saw that his player was going to get tackled, so he keeps it himself and then fights for as much yardage as he can get.
4th down, 5, and with that, Buccaneers will punt the ball back, and Notre Dame sends back to return it Kareem Orr and Jared Andrews. Andrews far side to the right, Kareem Orr here to the near side, and Orr will call for and make a fair catch at the 26-yard line. And that's where the Fighting Irish will take over, starting at their own 26 with this 26-0 lead against the Buccaneers of Boyd Buchanan. Thursday night game. They honored the 2003 state champions at Boyd Buchanan prior to the start of the game tonight. That team was one of 3 consecutive years of state championship appearances for the Buccaneers.
Good to see Drew Aiken back. He was the quarterback for that championship team, and Matt Pearden, some of the big names that they had in that nice little run they had in the early 2000s. Those guys have gone on, and like you mentioned earlier, a couple of them are assistant coaches in our area, including Drew Aikens at Ooltewah.
Looks like Notre Dame will make some substitutes now. And we'll see some youngsters. Everybody will get a chance to play tonight as the clock begins to tick here. 5.5 minutes left. We are not in the Mercy Rule arena here. If you're familiar with Tennessee high school football, or maybe if you're unfamiliar with it, 35-point or greater lead in the second half, we get a running clock.
And then if it comes to less than 35, then they go back to the conventional, clock running. So that is the magic number, 35, for what they call the Mercy Rule.
And Notre Dame keeps it on the ground, and finding some room to run is Andrew Banks, the freshman.
Must be in the bloodline.
Yeah, you think?
That's Andrews showed some quickness through that hole as well. Not as big as his older brother Austin, but my goodness, he can tote the mail, as they say a little bit themselves. Kind of limps off, though. That's not good.
He will check out. And Notre Dame will again bring in a whole new group of receivers and backs. It's Addison Hutton, the sophomore, in at quarterback. And he'll hand it off as, again, they keep it on the ground, chewing up clock and some yardage.
Make sure they stay in bounds and just move the football 5-6 yards at a pop. That would be 4 yards.
Calvin Sims, another sophomore. Boy, they are just loaded with talent in the 10th grade at Notre Dame. The sophomores and junior classes. I mean, this group, we just talked about the run that Boyd Buchanan went on there for 3 years in the early part of the 2000s. Kind of makes you wonder what this group at Notre Dame could do.
Ball's on the field. Looks like
Boyd Buchanan recovers it.
Just to try to hit that quick pop handoff, and I'm not sure if the running back was ready. Not a good handoff either way. Doesn't really matter whose fault it was. It started poorly and ended poorly for Notre Dame, but Boyd Buchanan gets the ball in Fighting Irish territory.
Maybe the best field position since back early in the first half, I think, for Boyd Buchanan.
I would say.
They recover it at the Notre Dame 42-yard line, and the second-team offense back out there. Notre Dame with 2 turnovers. Boyd Buchanan has turned it over twice as well.
Boyd Buchanan calls timeout.
And the Buccaneers will stop the clock.
If you're in a situation like this, everybody says, well, why would you call timeout there down 26 points? If you're going to put these young kids in, let's let it be a true game situation. And if you don't know the play, or if somebody's not on the same page, let's get a timeout. Let's practice like we're tied up at this point in time. And when you're going to give these kids a shot at it, it's only giving them justice to play it the way you would if it were a close ball game.
That's what you have to do. That's what you have to do. Because one day, this group of youngsters will be in a close ball game like that.
No doubt about it.
And you want to
teach them young.
That's it. That's it. Buccaneer fans still having some fun here tonight. Hodge will roll, throw, pass is incomplete. Intended for Watkins inside the 40.
Watkins was open. Young or not, you got to come up with that. Got to come up with that catch when they hit you in the hands, a little bit low, but certainly you just snag that off the turf.
And that's the other thing in this too. A lot of people may look at it and say, well, you're down 26-0. It's late. Why throw it? Let's run the ball. Let's get out of here. But if you're the Boyd Buchanan offensive coaches, hey, you want to run your offense here too. As Hodge, you see Hodge, he held onto the ball as long as he could and ran right alongside his running back and then pulled it out right at the last minute.
I think they both had it for about 3 yards there, so combined to carry. There he holds it. Now he pulls it back out and says, okay, I'll try and take it farther. Nice effort by Hodge, the youngster.
third down. 3rd and 7. Ball snapped over his head. It's loose. Hodge can't find it. It's still loose. And now I believe Boyd Buchanan falls on it. So let's wait and see. It goes all the way back into Boyd Buchanan territory. It went all the way back across the 50 and finally stopped rolling at somewhere around the 35-yard line. See, there's midfield. Inside the 40. And they finally get to it at around the 36, 37-yard line.
So now 4th and a mile.
4th and 30. And Boyd Buchanan to kick the ball away. And again, Kareem Orr alongside Jared Andrews. And this is Andrews who backpedals and makes the fair catch at the 20. So that's where Notre Dame will crank it up here with 2:37 left.
And again, Coach Fant at Notre Dame has really got to be excited of the prospects, not only, as you were saying, years down the road, but what they can do if they get Darris back and they get Heltzel at another position, maybe a tight end or some sort of running back position where he can contribute. You got the two stud duck running backs in Banks and Ballard, and then you throw the most athletic guy, Kareem Orr, in that mix. Notre Dame, Chris, could do some things come November. It would not surprise me a bit. Great coaching staff with Bo Campbell, the defensive coordinator, and Charles Fant running that offense. These guys are super talented.
There comes a penalty flag late. And I think the real question for Notre Dame, Scott, is going to be in, I guess, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, that road trip to Signal Mountain.
No question.
I mean,
they've got a big bruising running back, James
that's
McClellan. That's going to be a guy that they really it's hard to practice for someone like that because he's about 245, 250 pounds, a battering ram that they run. Coach Bill Price up at Signal runs that guy probably 25 carries a night, especially if it's working. Then they send him out there and just punish you, and that'll be coupled with the kid from Polk County who pretty much is the same type story.
Same style,
yeah. Yeah, same style, and they're going to bring the wood to those guys. That'll be the 2 most physical games they play on the schedule this year.
And they get those back-to-back consecutive weeks, and both on the road. There's the handoff. Big yardage. Breaks it. Look out. He gets to the first down.
More penalty flags.
And more flags come out as things get a little sloppy here as both teams go with some youngsters. But a nice job by the young man from Notre Dame. That was
number 21.
Michael Quattrano. He's the kid we've seen.
He's the kicker.
Yeah. And the sophomore getting some carries here late. He picks up the first down at the 40-yard line. And with first down and 10. Still just around 2 minutes to play in this game. Notre Dame with things in hand here at 26-0. And invite you to stay with us here on the CW following the game tonight. It's Vampire Diaries and then Beauty and the Beast, and they break it long. Far side of the field, cuts back to the inside on a foot race, caught at the 5 and pulled down, or caught at the 10 and pulled down at around the 5-yard line.
And that's Andrew Banks again. He looks like he's coming up a little bit hurt here, but what a fantastic run. Kicks it out to the left side and runs down the sideline, cuts it back across to the middle of the field. He was making moves left and right. Here we go. Andrew Banks, watch this speed, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, but he was kind of in traffic there all of a sudden, and then wham, he's gone. Big-time run, and a nice job by Isaiah Dillard of Boyd Buchanan from chasing him down from behind and pulling him down inside the 10-yard line.
You know, it looked like he may have pulled a hamstring about halfway through that run. Did you notice when he got to the sideline, right before he cut it back in the middle, he kind of had a little gait in his stride there. He wasn't running full out, and that's what the humidity obviously can do. You're late in the game here, and it looked like he had kind of hurt something prior to that when he ran off the field, so maybe that was just aggravation to that injury.
Trainers out to see about Banks. Charles Fant, the head coach, over to check on his young running back as well. 26-0, Notre Dame leading Boyd Buchanan.
Banks is a 9th grader, so
wow.
Yeah.
Look out. We've got another high school rivalry coming up. McCallie takes on Baylor. We'll have it for you live here on the CW beginning October 4th.
They're carrying him off here a little bit. He's got a limp. but it looks like he's going to be all right. Not anything major, at least, and that's the good news.
I want to take the opportunity and say a special thanks to all our sponsors. EPB Fiber Optics, make the smart move. Chattanooga State, Medeiros Windows and Siding, and also Signal Mountain Pharmacy and Compounding Lab. As Notre Dame takes over with a first down and goal at the Boyd Buchanan 8-yard line, following the big run by the speedy freshman Banks.
Ball in the air.
Uh-oh. Looks like Boyd Buchanan comes up with it, and they do. Carter Broom.
Let me take this opportunity while we have a change of possession here to say how excited we are to have the Baylor-McCallie rivalry and be able to broadcast that on October 4th. That's going to be the same thing here on WB, 7 o'clock pregame, 7:30 kickoff. And my goodness, when you talk about tradition, those two names, Baylor, the red, McCallie, the blue, the tradition just drips off that. They got a tremendous bunch of athletes this year. McCallie will remind you a little bit of what we've seen with Notre Dame tonight. They're so young, but so successful.
Yeah, McCallie has been maybe one of the surprises. Not that, we know Ralph Potter can.
Oh, he can flat out coach now.
There's
no doubt about that. Right.
We know that.
Right.
But I don't know that we really saw or expected them to be as good as they've shown here through the early part of the season. Man, that is a very, very good McCallie football team.
They went and took a running back / wide receiver, put him down at quarterback, Javon Craig. He comes out in the first game against Cleveland, and they hang a 50-plus on the Blue Raiders, and we all know Cleveland's a good program. That was impressive by the sophomore Javon Craig. I can't wait to see him up close in person. And one thing you mentioned, and Baylor obviously has been dominating that series the last couple years.
This is the best team, though, Scott, that McCallie's had maybe since B.J. Coleman left.
I would agree with that, too.
I mean, I think
since that streak was ended and started swinging Baylor's way, they haven't. McCallie has not had a team that can compete. This one ought to be a barn burner. The atmosphere is like none other at Baylor School, and it will be a packed house on October 4th when McCallie Blue Tornado comes calling.
Great environment and a great atmosphere for a high school football game. And, hey, we want you to watch, but come on out and be with us, too. Set the DVR and come join us that night out at the Baylor School. Clock down to 35 seconds and ticking here as you see this young Boyd Buchanan offense now. Cooper Hodge slips through the arm tackle. Look at that.
Oh, he's dishing out some punishment.
Watch the little quarterback go.
Whoa.
Ready to go here. Clock down to 35 seconds. That's the thing, man. You get your opportunity to get out there and play as a youngster. You want to give the coaches a little something on film to look at now.
Yeah.
And Cooper Hodge making his case now for Boyd Buchanan. As they hand it off, E.J. Matthews, big, strong runner is E.J. Matthews.
And another penalty flag on the field.
Oh, my. Clock's down to 15 seconds here. Again, want to invite you to stay with us. We'll have a recap of tonight's game coming up here in a few minutes. And then stick around for the Vampire Diaries following the game tonight. And then Beauty and the Beast. And then that Baylor-McCallie game we were talking about, that'll be the next time we're with you here on the CW. Baylor-McCallie, that's happening October 4th. Always a fun time. Anytime those two get together, and it's always, and it doesn't matter the sport either. No. I mean, they play each other in checkers.
I've heard the best atmosphere is wrestling. When those two get together for a wrestling match, it is standing room only. The student sections are screaming the entire time, and that atmosphere for Baylor-McCallie wrestling is like second to none. It's something to behold.
Now we're just waiting on the okay from the officials to get things started here for the final 15 seconds. This may be the final play of the game here for Boyd Buchanan. As Cooper Hodge keeps it, heads to the right, gets out around the 35-yard line, and that will do it. Notre Dame. The Irish are now 3-1 after knocking off Boyd Buchanan tonight. 26-0, your final score. Stay with us. We've got more here. You're watching High School Rivalries, powered by EPB Fiber Optics. Make the smart move today.